Yo, what is going on, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down podcast, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. Who's going to be the Bears' wide receiver 3 in 2020? Is Anthony Miller set for a breakout season? We're going to be answering these questions and so many more on today's episode of the Bear Down podcast. Welcome back to the show. I am your host, Chris Maltby. Today, I am joined with my co-host, Jaylen McClinton. Jaylen, what's going on, man? How's Arizona?
Pretty good. It's like 105 degrees right now. You know, it's hot as hell, but it's pretty good, though.
I am also joined today with video producer of the channel, Zach Rimbos. Zach, how's it going down there in the Windy City?
Really great day in quarantine downtown Chicago. It's pretty nice outside, so can't complain.
In suburban Chicago, it's a pretty nice day. You know, about 55 degrees today. Can't really complain about that. Before we get into this episode, I would like to say we are really trying to hit 1,000 subscribers in the month of May. If you wouldn't mind doing us a favor, please smash the subscribe button, like this video, also click the bell so you can get notifications whenever we post videos, whether it be mixtapes, episodes of Uncut, or our traditional podcasts. Let's get right into it. We're talking all things wide receivers today. Zach, I'm going to start with you on this one. This is a pretty simple question. Should the Bears extend Allen Robinson? And there's a second prong to it. Should they extend him, and when will they get that deal done?
Without question, Allen Robinson needs to be extended. He wants to retire a Bear. I want him to retire a Bear. I think after his injury in Jacksonville, he's proven to all Bears fans and people in the league that he is one of the best receivers in the league. I don't know where everybody has him, but my opinion, I think he's top 5, and I am biased. I don't care.
Just like Prince Amukamara.
What's that?
Just like Prince Amukamara said a couple weeks ago.
Exactly. I just think there's so much that he's proven to us. I think the deal gets done. I'm not too sure. Hopefully it's within the next couple of months here. I'm not too sure, though. I mean, I'm not sure what his contract could look like, and maybe it looks something like Amari Cooper's, and maybe we have to wait to get all of that money to be able to extend him, but hopefully it's soon, within the next couple of months. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
I mean, when you think about it, one thing that I'm sure hasn't passed through your guys' mind that's passed a little bit through mine, obviously the NFL just initiated this new CBA. There's going to be a little bit more money flying around now, so for that reason, I hope it gets done this summer. I think it gets done this summer. But with the new money, I think Robinson might get a little bit more than we expect. Not essentially a bad thing. 98 receptions for 1,150 yards just about, with 7 touchdowns in 2019. A wide receiver 1. Ryan Clark can shut up. He is a wide receiver 1. Jaylen, should the Bears extend him, and when do you expect it to get done?
The Bears should definitely extend Allen Robinson. He's our best receiver on the roster right now. He was the most, reliable option we had last season. He's been our best receiver on the Bears since, Alshon Jeffrey before, he got hurt and got suspended and stuff like that. So I don't know when the Bears will re-sign him. I know Pace likes to re-sign his key guys right before the season starts. So I'm pretty sure Pace is aiming for that. He usually focuses on the roster before he starts extending players. But if Pace doesn't re-sign Allen Robinson, and if
Chicago is going to be furious.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to be a very happy Bears fan. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Pace's signings in the past, that's a good point you bring up there, Jaylen. He signed Eddie Jackson about a year and a half before he needed to. He's been clever with the extension of Eddie Goldman in the past. I think we all wouldn't complain. Put the dollar amount aside. I think Robinson's worth most any dollar amount. Unless it's something crazy, obviously. But I think we all wouldn't complain if that deal got done before the season. Heading down the depth chart, Anthony Miller, slated to be wide receiver 2 this season. That being said, he may still be in the slot following the addition of Ted Ginn. Do you think, Zach, that Anthony Miller will break out in 2020? Because it seems like this year is going to be his year. Depending on the quarterback position, hopefully the O-line can hold up a little better. Do you think 2020 is technically Miller's year?
I think this is going to be a very interesting year. Last year he got 686 snaps. He was on about 65-ish% of all the snaps. I think that he hasn't really had the opportunity like this. I think we have, with all the addition of the weapons we have now, Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham, Ted Ginn, Darnell Mooney, I think there's a chance that whoever is going to be the week one quarterback, Anthony Miller is going to be able to do what he hasn't really been able to do, which is staying consistent. And I think that he's going to be slept on a lot this year, and I think that opens up a lot of opportunity for him. So, yes, I think he's slated in at wide receiver 2. I think he's an awesome, awesome receiver. He's explosive, and I'm excited to see it.
I'm also going to say that Anthony Miller is wide receiver 2. That being said, you'll hear about my wide receiver 3 later in this episode. But for the reason of who my wide receiver 3 is going to be, I'm going to say Anthony Miller stays in the slot and gets the production of a wide receiver 2, which is a little bit of an interesting concept there. But I don't know if I'd call it a breakout year for Miller. I agree with you on the consistency part. With how much Matt Nagy loves to spread the ball, I can see it hard for one receiver on this team, even Allen Robinson, having another great year like he did in 2019. 52 receptions, 256 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Miller in 2019. Had 7 touchdowns on 33 receptions in 2018. That being said, his route running is pristine. He's shown that he can get better every year. Jaylen, do you think 2020 is Anthony Miller's year?
I definitely do. Last year at the beginning of the season, he started off really slow. He got hurt. He was hurt from the shoulder injury that he suffered in his rookie season that led into this year. He had surgery and stuff like that. But in the second part of the season, he went off. He had about 400 yards, and that's where he scored his only 2 touchdowns of the season. He got more receptions and more yards last year. The only number that went down was his touchdowns from 7 to 2. This is definitely his year. He's coming into year 3. He's one of the second best route runner on this team, other than Allen Robinson. He's very good route runner. He's fast, not a big type of guy, but he gets catches. And I feel like if he stays healthy, stays consistent, and if the quarterback play is reliable, and so is the offensive line, this could definitely be his first year over 1,000 yards. Definitely.
It's hard to think for me personally that he goes over 1,000 yards. Jaylen mentioned that shoulder injury that he suffered during his rookie season that came back during 2019. And Zach mentioned consistency, so to kind of blend the two of those, you'd have to think that if Anthony Miller can stay healthy, he's going to be really productive in 2020 regardless of the numbers. Let's head into the next question. Now, I'm going to answer this one first. The question is, who do you expect to be the wide receiver 3 in 2020? I recently mentioned that I want Miller to be in the slot in 2020. And this one might surprise you guys. I know a lot of people think Riley Ridley deserves more reps. A lot of people think Cordero Patterson deserves more reps in the passing game. As far as Patterson goes, I feel like he's a hybrid piece who is used throughout the offense in the run and pass games, but he's mostly here for his special teams contributions. That's why he signed to a 2-year deal only worth $10 million. But I'm going to say my wide receiver 3 is Ted Ginn Jr. 35 years old. You can't really turn down productivity at the end of the day. Ted Ginn has dealt with some injuries, but I think we can all agree that if he stays healthy, he can still take the top off of a defense, and he can still be really productive. He did it last year in New Orleans, 20-plus receptions, 400-plus yards in only 9 games with 2 touchdowns. That would be good production for the Bears last year. So as surprising as it sounds, a lot of people don't think he's even going to make the roster. First off, I think he does. Secondly, I've got Ted Ginn slated in as my wide receiver 3 in 2020. Zach, who do you think is going to play wide receiver 3 in 2020?
It's really difficult. I'm really high on Riley Ridley and Javon Wims. I think Wims hasn't really had that opportunity yet to prove what he can do. And I agree with what you were saying with Cordero. He's mostly special teams. In comparison with people like Javon, he had nearly 280 less snaps Cordero did. So I think my wide receiver 3, I think I'm going to agree with you. I really like Ted Ginn. He ran a 4.28 when,
that was in 2007. Yeah.
It was a while ago, but he's still fast. Like, you don't lose that much speed. He's obviously still in the league, so he's obviously still got that talent there. I think him and Mooney, with their ability, their speed, I think you just do. There's so many special things you can do with those 3 on the field. Anthony Miller, Allen Robinson, and Ted Ginn. I mean, you could send Ted Ginn deep every play, and maybe it breaks out a few times, but then you got Allen Robinson and Anthony Miller. So I'm going to go with Ted Ginn, wide receiver 3, and agreeing with you, Chris.
Similar to what I just said about Anthony Miller, it's really going to be about Ted Ginn's health in 2020. Obviously, he's 35, but I think even Jaylen can agree that he can still do productive things on the offensive side of the ball when I get to him. But what you said is really interesting. I mean, you think about having Mooney and Ginn on the field at the same time, sending them both on streaks, Allen Robinson doing something in the middle of the field. Anthony Miller can be really special in the second and third levels with that route running, get open in the middle of the field, beat some middle linebackers. And then you've got Cole Kmet and Jimmy Graham coming across in a 2 tight end set. It seems unstoppable. I'm really excited for how it pans out. We both just said that Ted Ginn is our wide receiver 3. Jaylen, who do you think's WR3 in 2020?
Now I know we're gonna talk about this later in the podcast, but I don't see him making the roster. Yes, he's fast, but he's 35 years old. Yes, he's still fast, and he had a decently productive season last year with the Saints. But I feel like him being 35 years old, and potentially might take snaps from other receivers like a Wims, like a Ridley and a Mooney who we just drafted this year. I just don't see him making the rosters. It's more potential there. More upside.
Yeah.
With the less with less age. But on that, I'm gonna probably say is I really don't know who's gonna be with wide receiver 3. It's probably gonna be Wims, Ridley, or Mooney. But we'll just see what the season takes us. But yeah, I just don't see Ted Ginn making the roster.
It's tough for Ted Ginn. I said it earlier. I think we can all agree, once again, it all comes down to his health. The Bears got Victor Cruz a couple years ago in 2017, ended up cutting him because of his health. They weren't confident that he could stay productive and consistent and healthy at the same time. So I think it's going to come down to that for Ted Ginn. Personally, I think he's productive on offense. I think he can get the job done. Let's head into the next question. We don't need that long of an answer on this one. Zach, I'm going to start with you. No matter who starts at quarterback in 2020, because we've had that discussion a million times here on this show, how much do you think the upgraded receiving corps help?
Oh, it's massive. And not even just receiving core. I mean, everything we've done in the draft, I mean, there's so many more weapons. Whoever is quarterback week 1, the receivers we have, they're going to be great weapons. Very excited about it.
I mean, I mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. There's going to be a ton of options there on the field. So many interesting sets that you can send out. And you would have to think that the only defense that could defend it is like the Ravens, the Bears, like top-tier defenses can only pick up so much speed, so much talent across the board. I mean, the Bears are definitely getting their hands full in training camp as far as playing against their own defense, because their own defense is one of the best in the league. Jaylen, how much do you think the upgraded receiving corps help whoever's going to be playing quarterback?
Like Zach said, it's definitely going to help a lot. We only had one receiver for the whole season and 2 receivers through half the season, so it's definitely going to help. Taylor Gabriel, he only had one good game, that was in week 2 or 3 or something like that, and then the rest of the season he was either hurt or dropping passes. So bring in more receivers. Even the Ted Ginn, if he does make the roster, he's probably still going to put up a decent amount of yards and catch a couple of touchdowns here and there, which is something we really didn't have last season. So I definitely think it's going to help. The tight end position as well. Signing Jimmy Graham, I'm still not big on what the contract we gave him, but he's going to help. And drafting Cole Kmet in the second round is definitely going to help as well. I just can't see what this offense does in 2020.
Absolutely. I mean, throughout the last couple of years, it's been the Bears' defense carrying their offense. This year, the defense is set to be really good, really deep at all levels. And the offense really could take off, so I'm really excited to see what happens. Next question we've got, what role do you expect Riley Ridley to play in 2020? This is a really interesting one. Ridley hasn't been a receiver that has gotten a ton of snaps, frankly, throughout his time in Chicago. The Bears spent a 4th-round pick on him last year. He only had 6 catches for 69 yards last year. Didn't get much of a chance, similar to Javon Wims. I think he gets more of a chance this year. I think Javon Wims is kind of an oddball. And Jaylen even can back it. I've been high on Javon Wims forever. I just think with the amount of talent at wide receiver here, it's going to be a little bit tough. But I think Ridley, with what we invested into him, definitely deserves more of a chance. So I think he gets a little bit of an upped role in 2020, not incredibly higher, but I think he can get on the field in 5 wide receiver sets. Zach, how much of a role do you think Ridley gets in 2020?
Yeah, I'm really high on Javon Wims too. I really like him, and I think, like we were saying, if Ted Ginn cannot stay healthy, like he's probably going to be wide receiver 3. But Riley really needs to have a bigger role on this team, not only because we put a draft pick into him and we need him to pan out, but he's fast. He's got that explosiveness, and he's only 23. He's 23, 24 years old. He's got a lot of upside to him, and I think it's something that you could put him in the slot too and see how he does. But he definitely needs to have a bigger role. He only had about 100 snaps or so last season. So that definitely needs to go up, and I think he'll play a much bigger role this season. I think we'll see him in the rotation a lot more, hopefully. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to predict that he's going to get a better role with what the Bears invested in him. We all saw what his brother Calvin has been able to do throughout his time with the Atlanta Falcons, a solidified wide receiver 2 down there behind Julio Jones, with Matt Ryan throwing him the ball. And Ridley, it's an interesting one. You think he's got the genes similar to Lee Mack with Khalil Mack type comparison, where they've got the genes, they've got the ability. It's just, are they going to get the opportunities? Jaylen, what do you expect out of Riley Ridley this season?
I expect him to have a way better season than he had last year. Looking back when we drafted him in 2018, a lot of people thought we got a steal with him in the 4th round. He was projected to go 2nd, 3rd round. We got him, mid-4th, which is crazy. He's a receiver with a lot of upside. The only reason he probably fell to the 4th is because his 40 time wasn't that good. But he's big. He's like 6'2", great routes, can go up and get the ball just like Allen Robinson or any other receiver who's very aggressive. With a very good jump ball receiver is what I was trying to say. So, I'm a big fan of Javon too. I feel like he's gonna make the roster, but him and Ridley are going to switch, what's the thing I'm looking for? They're going to switch
roles.
Spots. Yes, switch roles, because, Javon had, a way better opportunity than Ridley had last year. Only time Ridley saw the field a lot was week 17, where he caught that pass that put us into field goal range to win the game in week 17. So I definitely expect him to have a big role. But we'll see. We'll see, definitely.
It's interesting that you brought up Javon Wims, because the next question we've got is, will Javon Wims make the roster this year? You know what, Jaylen, before I answer this question, have I been a big Javon Wims fan ever since the Bears drafted him?
Definitely. I remember in this preseason game against the Chiefs, that's all you were talking about. Yeah,
so it's really tough with Javon, and I'm going to end up saying no here. That might be a shocker to most people. I don't think he makes the roster. And there's one prong to that, or one kind of predicament to that, and that is if Ted Ginn stays healthy. I'm going to talk about my wide receiver depth chart for 2020 in a few minutes. I've got them taking 6 wide receivers. Darnell Mooney is younger. He's going to have opportunities. They put more draft capital into him. I don't know. J.J. Stankovic said a couple weeks ago he didn't think that Wims has proved it. I think Wims is a pretty good route runner. It's a tough choice, but I think if Ginn can stay healthy and we know he can produce, it's going to be a really tough choice with Javon Wims. I think Ridley has a spot on the roster because they invested more into him. I think him and Wims both have shown about the same amount. Obviously, Wims has been here for a year longer than Riley, but with the amount of draft capital we put into Javon Wims, a 7th-round pick in 2017, I honestly think it's hard to see him making the roster. Maybe as the last wide receiver, but we'll see. Zach, do you see Javon Wims making the roster this year?
I think it all depends, like you were saying, on Ted Ginn's health. I really like Javon Wims. I just think it all depends. I mean, you can't have all of them, you know what I mean? But I think, Javon Wims still has a lot of upside. I think
regardless of where he goes.
Yeah, and I really like him. It wouldn't surprise me though if Ted Ginn somehow stays, not somehow, but if he stays healthy, stays on the roster, we'll probably see us moving on from Javon.
And Jaylen, no offense, I'm going to skip you here because we got to get on the next question. You already said that Wims is going to make the roster, you think. Let's go into the next question. Darnell Mooney spent a 5th-round pick on him this year, traded up with the Philadelphia Eagles, gave up 2 6th-rounders to move up to grab him. Jaylen, I'm going to go to you first on this one because I skipped you on the last one. What type of role – this is a similar question to the Riley Ridley question. What role do you expect him to have in this offense in 2020?
So when we first drafted him, my reaction, I said he was going to be wide receiver 3. But, I've had time to sit back at it. This is a 5th-round draft pick, and now that we signed 2 more speeder receivers that are like him, that are more experienced in this league, I see him being more of a deep threat. I'm pretty sure he can be a wide receiver 3 down the road. Maybe in his second year or his third year. But in his rookie season, being a 5th-round draft pick, I just see him being a deep threat that can come in and catch a couple passes for 20+ yards for Foles or Mitch.
I agree with you exactly. I think if Ted Ginn stays healthy, he is wide receiver 3. I obviously already pointed that out earlier. And I think Mooney is the incumbent to that role. If I pull out my good vocabulary there. I am a communications major, just saying. But I think Mooney eventually steps into that role. It's tough, man. I want to see him perform, but I do think he's someone that you can throw out there as a threat to get down the field. Just another person to worry about. And we can get our other big play receivers the ball a little bit more than him. The Ted Ginn signing really changed my mind on this because I also said he was going to be wide receiver 3. But, Zach, what do you think? What type of role does Mooney play in 2020?
Like I was saying earlier with Ted Ginn, I think it'd be very interesting to see him in a role where you just send him on a streak or something like that, send him deep, use his speed, and see him take the top off of a defense. I think it could be a lot of surprise plays because I don't think we're going to see that many snaps from Mooney this season. But like I was saying, I definitely think it could be a surprise where he comes in and you can just see him use his speed, and it'd be awesome. I think that would be the best utilization for his play style.
Yeah, I'm going to go after. I think we all agreed on that one. Next question is an interesting one as well. Allen Robinson obviously eclipsed 1,000 yards in 2019. Jaylen, do you think he's able to do that again in 2020?
Definitely. This is what, 3rd year coming off of his injury. He's only getting stronger, getting better, especially because if we don't re-sign him before the season starts, he's going to be in his contract year, hungrier from people saying he's not a wide receiver 1, which is absolutely absurd. But I definitely think he's going to get over 1,000 yards again. Rather who the quarterback is, I think it's going to be
1,000 yards in a season, not a game.
Yeah, again. But him and Mitch already have a way better connection than they did in his rookie season, apostrophe over that season here with the Bears. So I definitely think he should have over 1,000 yards again.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. As much as I hope the Bears can spread the ball around to everyone, I'm going to say, Robinson's the clear-cut wide receiver 1. He's going to be the number 1 option for Foles or Mitch, regardless of who's the quarterback. I think he does it again in 2020. Zach, what do you think? Does Robinson break 1K yards for the 2nd season in a row?
Yeah, I think he breaks 1K yards again. I think he definitely makes a Pro Bowl this season. Unlike he did not make it last season. I think he was a Pro Bowl caliber receiver, especially considering the team bottom 4 offensive line did not have any tight end production. He was the main receiver overall, above everybody else in Chicago. I think that he breaks 1K again. I think he goes to the Pro Bowl, and hopefully we see the playoffs this year.
I really hope he goes to the Pro Bowl. But obviously, I would hope he doesn't go to the Pro Bowl if we're going to Tampa Bay for that Super Bowl. I'm going to give you guys some time to think about this last one. But this last question is your early prediction for the wide receiver depth chart come August, come September, come the preseason. I'm going to go first. I've got 6. Robinson, Miller, Ted Ginn, Riley Ridley, Darnell Mooney, and I've got Cordell Patterson on there as well. I spoke about him being a hybrid, but I'm putting him at wide receiver 6. I do think he'll get more reps this year, but obviously not known as being that premier wide receiver. And with the depth we have, we can give Mooney some more snaps, give Ridley some more snaps by taking Patterson out of the game. So those are the 6 I've got. You guys aren't limited to any amount of receivers. You can pick as many or as little as you want to. Zach, I'm going to go with you. In order, give me your wide receiver depth chart.
Okay, in order, Robinson 1, Miller 2, 3, I'm going to go Ted Ginn, like I was saying earlier. And then 4, I'm going to go Riley Ridley, and then Darnell Mooney, and then Patterson. I'm going to say at 6, just because, like you were saying, he's hybrid. We saw him in a decent amount of snaps, both rushing when we were rushing and in receiving plays. I think that he will be wide receiver 6 there, but yeah, that's my list.
I've got a little bit of a hunch here that Jaylen's going to go 7 wide receivers to keep his man Javon Wims on the roster. You know, I think an argument could be made to keep Wims as much as an argument could be made to get rid of him. But Jaylen, reveal who you've got on the wide receiver depth chart for 2020.
I actually have 6.
Okay.
You know, I have Robinson, Miller, Wims, Ridley, Patterson and Mooney. Yeah, that's 6.
Okay.
6 right there.
Interesting. So confident in Wims.
Of course. Why? I like I said before, I don't get why we keep, Ted Ginn. Of course, he's not the same receiver from literally 14 years ago. He's 35 years old. Wims is like 25, 26. So, potential over speed. Yeah. And plus he's way younger, like 9. Ted Ginn has like 9 years on Javon.
I mean, Ted Ginn may not be the same receiver as he was in 2015 when he caught 10 touchdown catches when Cam Newton won the MVP. But I think he's pretty damn close to the same receiver he was in 2018 when he had 53 receptions for 787 yards and 4 touchdowns. And you said, potential over speed, but I'm going to go with production over potential. Stats don't lie at the end of the day. That's why I went with Ted Ginn. But that is pretty much it for this episode of Bear Down. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want more content from us, head over to our website, beardown.com. Once again, we're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers this month, just to give you guys a little bit of an update and give you, Zach and Jaylen, an update as well. We're currently sitting at 909. 91 to go, man. I think we can hit it sooner than we think.
That's crazy.
Crazy, man. The growth's been crazy.
Road to 1K. Road to 1K, baby.
Absolutely. But thank you guys for tuning in. It's been another fun one. Jaylen McClinton, Zach Rimbos, any last words?
Bear down.
Make sure you guys subscribe. Stay safe out here. And bear down forever.
Absolutely. Once again, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Our wide receiver special of some sort. It's going to be a fun training camp. I'm really excited to look forward to it. But once again, I am your host, Chris Malpe. Thank you for tuning in to Bear Down episode 127. Ridiculous. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, Chicago,
That's crazy.
Stay safe and bear down. Peace.
Peace.